Experience over expectation is we profess to know the plan, right? We know we're supposed to grow up, we're supposed to go to college, we're supposed to get the degree, we're supposed to get that great career, we're supposed to marry well, we're supposed to have kids, we're supposed to retire at some point in time. That's the grand plan. And the expectations around that of others, of us, and our own selves often place us in very difficult situations as we're going through trying to live up to this plan. And that the same thing in personal life, the same thing in business. So business has the cycles that we've been talking about. If you don't hit that hockey stick, right, then have you been a success? And so what the book does is give you ideas for scenarios, that experiences that I've had, and I actually ask artificial intelligence to analyze those situations, choices, and decisions that I've made, and to come up with an analysis of that.
Wow. You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is Mary McCorvey. She is a founder and CEO, a 7-time entrepreneur. Her new book, Experience Over Expectation, as well as her podcast, dive into the experiences of an entrepreneur and business owner, experiencing life and its joys and the lessons we learn along the way. Mary, so excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
Thanks so much, Chris, for having me. I'm doing fantastically now that I'm here with you.
I love that. We had such a great warm-up chat already. Loved your energy and positivity. And a little great conversation leading into it. We just kind of chatted more about your life, your journey, your experience as a 7-time entrepreneur. Where did you first get started, and what have been those opportunities you found along the way?
Well, that's a great question, Chris. And what I would like to do is I would like to even clarify further my experience with entrepreneurism, and that is related to me being a founder. So being a founder is significantly different from being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur can take an existing business and grow the heck out of it and do a great job with that. A founder comes up with the idea, conceives the idea, and takes it from there. And so that is an important differentiation for people that are thinking about starting their own business or people that are thinking about joining a startup.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that distinction between where are you going with your experience, your mindset? Are you coming up with a new idea and running with it? And you've been a founder and entrepreneur. Have you done a little bit of both, or are you more of the bigger idea person?
I am definitely the idea person.
You like
And
the idea?
I have my process that I go through. And I've learned over the course of 7 startups that I have learned from the previous ones. And I have a particular process that I use, and I would like to share that if you think that would be useful.
That would be absolutely wonderful. We're all about the processes within business and in life. Tell us more about it.
Well, my particular process for founding a company starts with an idea that hits me. And I think, wow, there's a market gap for this. There's a problem to be solved. And then I say, okay, well, now I need to think about this and figure out whether I want to spend my heartbeats pursuing this. And you know what, Chris? We have finite number of heartbeats. And so the decisions that we make and the choices we pursue really go back to making that concrete decision, okay, I'm going to go forward. And so the first thing is coming up with the idea. It's a very short process, by the way.
We love actionable processes.
The second thing is making the decision. And for me, I call it the puzzle click. You know, I feel a click that says, yes, Mary, you're going to do this. The next phase is coming up with the resources. So I'm very fortunate that I've learned that I don't know everything, but what I'm very good at doing is surrounding myself with people who have very high expertise. And so we come up with the resources, we put together the team, we do all of the things that is necessary, or it's coming up with an analysis of the market, an analysis of the competition, a go-to-market plan, and then we execute. So idea, decision, resources, execute. straightforward.
There's a lot of insight to something you shared, which is surrounding yourself with the right people, putting that expertise to work for you. Because oftentimes there's many entrepreneurs out there who wear so many hats, they have to learn or feel like they have to do everything. And there's a balance between that where they don't have enough money, they have to learn and they have to be scrappy and resourceful versus we now have the resources. I got to stop putting my time on these lower value tasks, especially when there's someone who has a better expertise in that to help you execute and move it further. What has been your experience putting this team together? How do you find the right people? How do you know if they're a good fit? That seems to be where like things kind of just fall off. The workers don't always meet the expectations of the founder or the CEO.
Sure. Well, I'll give you an example of my moonshot. Okay.
I
I
love
took
that. Yeah.
an actual literal moonshot. I was going to go to the moon. Not me personally, but the work that my company was doing was going to go to the moon.
Wow.
And what I wanted to do and made some significant steps and strides in doing it is that I wanted young people to design and build rovers that would land on the moon and operate on the moon. And so imagine being a startup founder and being me and people asking me the question, well, are you a rocket scientist, Mary? No, I'm not. Are you an astrophysicist? No. Are you an engineer? No. But I know where to find them. And that's what I did. So I came up with a partnership with a company that has the rocket, the lander, the scientists, the engineers, all of them. And I partnered with them on this moonshot. So I had on my particular team, I had a business development professional, I had a digital professional, and I had me. It was a great team. It was an absolutely great team. And we had the ability to do it, Chris. We
Wow.
had the business model around it. People say, well, how in the world did you go out? And if you're working with young people, it's got to be donations or something. No, the business model was very simple. And it's one that I've used successfully before. And that is that you get corporate sponsors to use marketing dollars to invest in sponsorship.
Now you're leveraging other companies' money for yours, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was the business model of the sale. And it was absolutely feasible, Chris. We were
Really?
going to land on the moon October 2021. Do you remember what happened immediately previous to that?
That was like the global shutdown.
Yeah. We did this major launch in January of 2020. And we were, again, to land on the moon in October of 2021. And so what happened was the space industry, as well as many other industries, shut down. And by the time it wound up again, our place in the market had gone. We
Wow.
couldn't recover. And it was a really painful experience and a lesson. But the components of it is the thing that I learned is that you can take things like a literal moonshot. You can do it. It's possible. And they finally did get to the moon in March of 2024. And do you know what happened?
I have no idea.
They landed on the moon and the lander tipped over.
But it landed on the moon. I mean,
It
that's
did.
still an
I'm telling you,
accomplishment.
it was a wild success. But if we had been on that lander, we would not have been able to accomplish the mission, of doing what we went there to do. So there's in the world of founding, in the world of entrepreneurism, these kinds of things happen all the time, and you have to be able to thrive. I don't want to say thrive on chaos, but you have to acknowledge, you have to internalize, you have to process, and you have to handle the chaos that comes. And sometimes it ends up in a business pivot. Sometimes it ends up in a wind down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Mm-hmm.
the journey along the way is absolutely phenomenal. And you can take a moonshot.
Absolutely. Yeah, that 3-year hiatus where you're not sure, things were shut down. Is things coming back? Do we have what we need to continue this operation? And then to actually launch in 2024, That's incredible. Overcoming those obstacles is a challenge. And I try to think about what it looks like to use marketing, like corporate sponsorships on a rocket. Does that mean you're putting ads on rockets, kind of like a NASCAR, where it's like, we have number 43 Butterfinger coming into the landing?
Well, you did happen to hit my sweet spot of motorsports. I love, love, love motorsports, particularly F1 rather than NASCAR. But in any case, when you're talking about the business model of corporate sponsorships, it is indeed the branding of the company on whatever it is that you're doing. So we were going to create a documentary story of how these young people built what they needed to build and then to land on the moon. That's what the value proposition was for businesses that were interested in investing in what we call a unique property.
Yeah.
So you have to come up with a unique property in order to offer it for sponsorship, but the dollars can be significant, and they were.
Wow, absolutely. I'm not even sure how a business would start to go and obtain these sponsorships. Were they from previous relationships you had started? Did you just, start dialing the phone and said, "Hey, we want to put your brand on a rocket. Let's talk more." To start up corporate sponsorships, I think that's beneficial for both for-profit and potentially nonprofit companies too.
Absolutely. And we have always been a for-profit company.
Hmm.
So again, the natural thought is, well, if you're working with young people, you must be a nonprofit. No, we're going to go to the moon, and we're going to have a for-profit company give you valid value for what you're investing in sponsorship dollars. And this is how we're going to deliver the metrics that we promise. So it's very much a business to business model. And I would encourage anybody to look that has something of value to sell for sponsorship to look into that aspect of the business. Because if you have something unique enough, it's one thing to have a monster truck or something like that. It's another thing to have something that's really, really unique, and that the marketplace is always looking for.
Absolutely. I love that bit of insight. Mary, I wanted to ask you more about the book and what it's about, because it's the experience over expectation. How do we find that balance? What does that mean to you, and what should it mean to us for those who are kind of interested in that topic?
Well, experience over expectation is we profess to know the plan, right? We know we're supposed to grow up. We know we're supposed to go to college. We're supposed to get the degree. We're supposed to get that great career. We're supposed to marry well. We're supposed to have kids. We're supposed to retire at some point in time. That's the grand plan. And the expectations around that of others, of us, and our own selves often place us in very difficult situations as we're trying to live up to this plan. And that the same thing in personal life, the same thing in business. So business has the cycles that we've been talking about. If you don't hit that hockey stick, right, then have you been a success? And so what the book does is give you ideas for scenarios, that experiences that I've had, and I actually ask artificial intelligence to analyze those situations, choices, and decisions that I've made, and to come up with an analysis of that.
Wow.
So the reader has tools to say, well, if I've had the same situation where I've been stuck in perfection, or I've been on the point of pivot, but I can't quite get there. I don't want to let go of what I have. These kinds of things that we've been talking about, the book addresses.
I love that use of AI. That's really clever to put that knowledge into it, because that profound question that you're asking, we all kind of get wrapped up in these situations. We overthink on something, and if we keep running into it, something has to be going on here. So to enlist the help of some AI to give us some clarity, help us think things through, I think that's just a huge benefit and a great way to use AI for our personal lives and for our businesses.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I used actually 5 different AI platforms.
Oh, very nice. Excellent. Is
Yes.
it the big 5, or are you using a mix and match of whatever's hot and new that month?
What are the big 5?
I guess the big five to me would be OpenAI's ChatGPT. You have Google Gemini, you have Claude, Grok, and the other one that I'm not pulling off the top of my head. But those are kind of like, I don't know, the big main players. There's DeepSeek as well from China.
Hmm.
But there's so many different options and I guess subtopic AIs that are now,
Yes.
more advanced in website coding. It's a video generator. There's song generators, which I've had tons of fun playing with all of these AI tools. I mean, it's just another piece of software in our toolbox for us to play with.
Yes, and also to get some for me, it was very purposeful to get a particular outcome.
Mhm.
So you named the top 5 that we used. The
Mhm.
one that we did use that you didn't name is Sonnet. And
Ooh.
each one of them, they're trained for their particular purpose, and that purpose was brought to bear for the part of the book, Experience Over Expectation. And it was awesome. So what happened was we asked for the analysis essentially of a massive literature search. Here's Mary's situation. Here's her choices. Here's the decision she made. What about the thousands and thousands of other people that faced that same decision? What were their choices and decisions? And what AI lays out in the book.
Wow. And I imagine that's like your founder cap and expertise really coming into play because you've created these specialists, these agents that are highly skilled in this situation and they can reference tons of material. So I love that you were kind of using the best tool for the job because it is really their expertise in a certain subject matter.
Yes, absolutely.
And tell us more about where people can find you and connect with you online, Mary.
The best place to find me, I'm on LinkedIn, of course, and I'm also at marymccorvey.com.
It's like we'll have the links available down in the show notes and the description for everyone. Your background spans media. You mentioned military a little bit, public speaking and storytelling. If there was one piece of advice you could give to other people out there, what is going to help them at this point in time, or what kind of tidbit of information do you think is going to be insightful for them?
I would say take the moonshot. Whatever the moonshot is for you, think about it, decide on it, figure out how to do it, and execute. Take that moonshot.
I love that, Mary. That is wonderful. Everyone's kind of, excited, cautious, not really sure what they're doing in their life or their business. What are you kind of looking forward to in 2026? Are you doing some new products, revamping anything, changing your brand, or are you kind of sticking tried and true method and process that you've been sticking with already?
Well, we're staying on the current path, but we also have some projects that we're working on that are still in stealth mode.
Got to be
But
sneaky with it. Yep.
well, we need to go through that process before we execute.
Right.
But we're very excited about 2026.
Very nice. That is exciting. Well, Mary, we'll have to have you on for another episode and tell us more about the updates and the moonshots that you've taken in the meantime. And hopefully this can inspire others to take their own moonshots as well. Mary, we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.